Enjoy reading the story on Manga Funny channel.
This is the story of Carmilla Armin, daughter of Duke Armin. She was neglected by her husband and died in misery. After that, she was reborn and started her life anew. Follow this series to find out more. I'm Carmilla Armin. This is how I died. It all started. There were so many people, and that alone felt suffocating. One day, at a grand and formal event, with many of the city's elite in attendance. While the couples were dancing, I, Carmilla Armin, daughter of Duke Armin, as I was lost watching the dancing couples, I suddenly slipped and fell. But I was unexpectedly caught by a young man, who later became my husband. His name is Bernhard Demeter. Bernhard Demeter is the heir to Marquess Demeter and the Crown Prince's bodyguard. His cheeks were flushed. That's when I met him. I thanked him for catching me, and he responded with the politeness of a gentleman. With this man, I fell in love at first sight. After the party ended, I quickly returned home, rushed to meet my father, and said, "Father, I found someone I'd like to marry." Her father is Phil Armin, Duke of the Armin family. Her father agreed with her request and said, "All right, I'll see what I can do." She replied, "Thank you, father." At the time, I was excited by the idea that I could marry the man I fell in love with at first sight. Of course, I was completely unaware that he would be the one driving me to my death. During a private meeting between her and Bernhard, she confessed, "I'm hesitant about this marriage." However, he bluntly responded, "I do not love you, and I don't think that fact will ever change." Pardon? Should I have backed down in that moment? She said, "I heard you have a lover of a different status, but that's just a fleeting passion, right?" I was young and experiencing love for the first time. I didn't know how to back down. It was the foolishness that everyone experiences. She said, "I'm in love with you." The fleeting passion of a young person in love. I believed in it, more than I should have. Afterward, their wedding happened quickly. What she initially saw as a rosy love would later prove to be false. It's okay. Everything will be fine. I'm just nervous because I'm getting married for the first time. At that moment, I thought I was the center of the universe. If I could just overcome this anxiety, I would be able to spend the rest of my life with him. But things didn't turn out the way she thought. Everything became much worse. She lived in misery for a long time. But when I came to my senses, I found myself the villainess in a third-rate romance novel, an obstacle to another man's love. One day she met him at the stairs, and she said, "Bern, I want to talk. I'm pregnant. I know you don't love me." But even if you can't be a good husband, at least be a good father to this child. Do that, and I can endure everything. That's the least you can do for me. Maybe, just maybe, thanks to this child, we might even become a happy couple in love. So please. Despite the courage I mustered, Bern didn't move an inch. She asked, Don't go, Bern." Perhaps that's why I ended up having a miscarriage. The problem is, you should have rested because your body is naturally frail, but you didn't. It seems the troubles in your mind consumed your body, making it impossible for the child to endure any longer. The child was loved and cherished just by being inside me. My baby. Until the end, I told myself I wouldn't meet her. "Madam, I'm glad you've at least recovered your health. I had hoped to handle the matter through a servant or butler, but I realized that even if I had to confront a commoner woman— By the way, madam, where are you headed today? And after hitting rock bottom, I had nothing to fear because— let's just say I'm off to settle a matter once and for all. I was a woman who no longer had a husband, a child, or pride. She went to Reina's room. When Reina opened the door, she asked, "Who is it?" Reina is the daughter of the Demeter household's nanny. She said, "It's all your fault. Because of you, my baby is dead. Because of you, my marriage is ruined. It's all because of you." Saying this, she slapped Reina hard, causing her face to turn red. Reina didn't understand what had just happened. Reina said, "Your baby is dead?" She replied, "That's right. My baby is no longer in this world. My baby is dead. So why are you? A despicable girl like you needs to be." As she raised her hand to slap Reina again, her husband caught her arm from behind. Then he slapped her hard, knocking her to the floor. This only made her angrier, and she glared at Reina as if she were her enemy. Reina shouted at Bern, "What are you doing? How could you hit her so hard that she fell? How could you do that to your wife?" In her mind, she thought, "Are those crocodile tears she's showing me, while she hypocritically deceives me?" At this point, a servant helped her up, her face still flushed red. She said, "Don't act like you care. You ruined my life in the worst way possible. Did it please you to play the lover of another woman's husband? Were you happy, having my child's father all to yourself? You're the worst." You put on that angelic face, as if you're innocent, as if you don't know anything. You're the most vicious kind. She was led away by the servant in a carriage during the last sunset of her life. In the end, the proper marriage I had dreamed of since the beginning was actually never possible. All because I wasn't the heroine of the story. I was a foolish and greedy villainess who had interfered with their true love. The carriage suddenly plunged down a steep slope, and she died, on an afternoon filled with golden sunlight and birdsong. Ah, is this how a villainess dies? Only after things unraveled like this did I realize I had been wrong. Huh? Then, surprisingly enough, I regressed to the time before I married him. She opened her eyes in the early morning light. The sunlight filled the room, causing her to jump up. Am I being given another chance? Then, the first thing to do is, having paid a huge price for everything. She ran quickly to meet her father and said, "I don't want to marry him. I'm no longer going to live like that. Actually, I won't. I'm no longer going to sit back and watch." Perhaps she had realized her mistake of falling for someone too quickly, without fully understanding the person she was about to marry.